All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our level up this week. We've got Brian Glanz here to give us an update from products. I'm going to drop our notes document in the chat. Please help us to take notes and ask questions for Brian. And with that, I want to go ahead and turn it over.
Hello, everyone. I am indeed Brian Glanz. What a pleasure it always is representing this product. If you are new here, you are in for something great. You're going to love it. I'll say a few things just for folks who are new. I love that there are always people who are new. Every quarter we do this product release update. This is the Q3 product release update. Yes, it's Q4 now a little bit, but per the IPO, this got pushed just a little bit into the future. Congratulations again, everyone. And we are covering a little bit more than we had otherwise planned to do accordingly. So we're covering 4 instead of 3 months of GitLab shipping every month on the 22nd. Now more than 10 years of consecutive monthly shipments of GitLab. That's amazing. 14.1 through .4, and a look ahead about a quarter up through SCO. Also, if you're new here, yes, there is always a link, or maybe that's wrong. Maybe there are always like 100 links. And always to the handbook, there's one for product release updates too, where you can find the last few quarters worth and things like product keynotes at conferences and at last year's SCO and all that sort of stuff you might want if you are just catching up with the latest in GitLab. Because we are taking a look ahead, we have a slide like this, and so should you anytime you are talking about upcoming products, features, functionality. Blessed by GitLab Legal, this is the real deal. Please use it. What to know when we're not in a quarterly enablement? How do you know what's new? And a lot of it will poke at you usefully. Monica Gomez, the inimitable, the one and only, sends a monthly release email to sales on the 22nd, same time that the product itself is released. It's based on what's in the release post, which is published on the 22nd, even if it's a Sunday. It's published when the product is released. And what's in those release posts is going to be a part of the narrative today because they have become over time, again, a little bit more user-centered and a little less buyer-centered in the way they're describing the value added to the product. For us, obviously, in this context, that's a concern. It means we have to do a little bit extra work when we look at what's in the release post and how it's described to then talk about it in customer terms, right? And so Monica's doing that extra work. I'm joining with her to do it going forward. It's a product marketing exercise. I just want to make sure we in product marketing are doing our part. We will be co-writing this monthly release email to sales. Yes, there's a template in Outreach. You'll hear about it in the sales channel in Slack, or I imagine that's copied over into like SDR Global, etc. That also will feed the Field Flash newsletter, thus the lightning bolt there. Read the whole newsletter, it's awesome, but it also has this really great section on what's new in GitLab. Just a few bullet points per each monthly release, comes out a week or two after the release itself. It's on a slightly different cadence that's useful. If there's any difference between like this, the monthly release email, and that, the Field Flash newsletter, maybe it's that Field Flash is more internally focused, but you should, by and large, just see consistency there and one feeding the next. I mentioned already that the release posts have become more user-centered. Part of that is because product marketing managers are no longer writing a marketing introduction to the release post. I'll talk a little bit more in a minute about why that's the case, but it's actually been useful and on the whole a good thing. While it does mean that we need to be even more concerted in positioning and messaging what's new in GitLab and what's coming up on our side of the house over here. Per people's requests and people saying they liked it, I'm still bringing to this quarterly session short version of what's in the release post, and I'm still encouraging people to go back to that for the sort of canonical what's new in the product. So the headline features, the key features, we've added a little bit ourselves for things that we know are key but just didn't get categorized that way in the release post for whatever reason. So here's a relatively short list compared to the extensive thing that is a release post. And also people say they like knowing right here which tier that's aligned to. Free plus, of course, just means if it's in free, it's also in premium. And if it's in premium, it's also in ultimate. Sort of stating the obvious, but there's a lot to learn if you're new. So keep that in mind. That's what I mean with the little plus there. No, we don't have something called Premium Plus. I don't mean to confuse anyone. 14.1, 14.2, .3.4 each are here. I quiet down because as I click through there, I'm feeling it. It's palpable. We're shipping less. I'm sure you've felt it and are aware of our focus on performance and reliability. We're shipping less that's easily categorized as a feature. I don't actually think we're being any less innovative, or we're certainly not doing any less work. But that is going to show up. A lot of sacrifices have been made. Of course, a lot of you are already intimately familiar with specific sacrifices being made in the good name of performance and reliability and security, especially around the IPO event, but not only. And we'll get a little bit more on that. Before I click past this, I want to say a word about just an example, like the bottom item on this list, use variables and other variables. Gets my programmer heart beating a little faster there. It's a cute little feature name, isn't it? Use variables and other variables. Yeah, so that one, it's free, but significant value added also for premium customers and ultimate customers. This was easily the top of the list for the pipeline authoring team this past northern summer, now long since passed here in Seattle. This was easily the #1 thing they could do to impact ARR, and that was requested by customers and prospects. 5-year-old issue, upvoted 500 times. So just because it says it's free, don't make the mistake of thinking it's not adding value for your customers in premium and ultimate. And then similarly, just another point off the same thing. I remember Kenny highlighting that in the 14.1 kickoff call. Another point to anyone who's new around here. The stuff that gets highlighted in the X.Y kickoff call doesn't ship in X.Y. We plan ambitiously. They give you that warning. It says that in lots of places, but it's still easy to make the mistake. If you see an issue with a milestone that says 14.1, it's still easy to think, oh, it's coming in 14.1. The fact that we plan ambitiously is great. It helps to keep our feature velocity up. It keeps us moving. Again, we're very transparent about that. Just like I would say roughly like 90% even of what's featured in the X.Y kickoff call is not shipping in X.Y. Maybe 90% of it is shipping in X.Y plus 1. Did I not say there would be algebra? But or plus 2 or plus 3. Right? So 14.3 it shipped. That's typical. That's actually fine. Per that request, can I just see what's in premium? Can I just see what's in ultimate? Yes, you can. That's easy to do. I made it even easier by putting on this slide, but also I've got links in like a dozen places, maybe more, to Martin's amazing tool. Let me break my presentation mode just to click through on one of those links on the slide. So you can easily see just what's in premium over which versions. Here it all is. Still, maybe you like it even better with just the key features. I don't know, but you can see that either way. You can do that yourself. And then the next pivot that I took was, well, clearly we're not going to talk about 50 key features, even over these 4 versions where we've been shipping less in terms of features. So how about a top 10 list? And I walked it around a little bit. This is a top 10 list of the most impactful stuff shipped in GitLab 14.1 through .4. But still, we're really feature-centered here. So then I pivoted again. I didn't want to throw it away. Maybe you want the top 10 list. There it is. But I pivoted again to describe the top 10 in terms of how they map onto our value drivers. Better, faster, that's of course not sacrificing security for speed or vice versa, or compliance or quality instead of security. Right? So these are the value drivers and how those top 10 things impact those. We're in the automation business. I'm not surprised everything lights up efficiency, especially if it's something important. Operational efficiency, that is. But even that didn't feel like enough of a pivot. So I made a bigger pivot. I took a bigger step back. For positioning and messaging, what's new in GitLab? This is the the key recommendation. And maybe that other stuff is useful to you. I know it's actually been requested, so I brought it today. But what you should really do to position what's new, let me back out so I can show you the speaker notes on this. They are extensive. This is a talk track for what we are saying to analysts, what we have been saying all this past quarter, and what we are going to present to analysts again in the near future. So this is current stuff. For the positioning, what are the trends in the market that led us to this, to build this product? GitLab 14, the DevOps platform. Now, what we called it a quarter ago, or what the value pillars were a quarter ago, I remember saying, these are specifically chosen because we're going to keep shipping stuff that aligns with these value pillars. This is not going to be obsoleted. This won't be irrelevant in the market, and it's not going to be irrelevant according to our roadmap or our work anytime soon. And thankfully, I was right about that. So velocity with confidence, built-in security, value stream visibility, still highly relevant. And this talk track describes exactly how to position those and then how to message what's new in the product. And I like these next few slides even like the most, because they're just really explicit. This is the customer pain. These are the 3 customer pain points or buyer pain points, the GitLab promise for how we address those pain points, and then the product proof for how exactly we'll fulfill that promise. That's where finally we get down to like talking features a little bit. That's the way to do it, right? And we all know that, but it's one thing for you to kind of know it in theory. It's another thing for me to hand it to you on a slide. I hope these slides are useful to you. I've intentionally redesigned them to fit in with the pitch deck. Clearly, this graphic is actually stolen from the pitch deck. Borrowed, stolen, strong word. But the point of designing them is that you can use it either in that deck or in a follow-up pitch. You can just reuse these things. Of course, then there's a case study with relevant quotes and metrics and a link to the full case study per each of these value pillars. Along with, again, that talk track in the good name of SAFe, let's be consistent with everything we're saying to analysts and to the public in general in all places, especially when it's about the upcoming stuff, which we'll get to. What to know? Let me jump back in to the presentation mode so we can see it at a reasonable size. Because we're not writing the introductions to the release posts anymore, one of the things we're doing in exchange for that as product marketing is writing more blog posts. And that's better because if we're talking about, I don't know, the Kubernetes operator, why would we want it to be a sentence in a release post that was published on a Sunday because that was the 22nd? Why wouldn't we want it to be a blog post where we can stretch our legs and lots of associated marketing activity dedicated to something really important like that, timed with KubeCon, right? So this is a good pivot to separate sort of product launch or product marketing from product release. We're still releasing in the same cadence, but we're marketing it on a different cadence and on a more impactful cadence and in a more impactful way. I still want to make sure you all know that and that you all have a handy short list of blog posts written recently by product marketing that have that buyer-centered messaging in there, that are lower in the funnel and going to be more useful to us in the field. At least one per each of those value pillars that I've given a shout to, and stuff up through yesterday, a lot on DevOps platform. I don't think this is exhaustive, but I wanted to give you like a usefully sized list. And then the look ahead. There's that cadence, there's the 22nd, there's that cute rocket emoji again. I don't know that SCO is going to be space themed, but that would be cool. Just throwing it out there. I like the rocket. The major release in June might actually be in May, or conceivably even July. I think the last couple of years they've been pulled in or pushed out for one technical reason or another. So this isn't like an ironclad promise. There will be a thing. We're calling it GitLab 15 and it goes on June 22nd, but that's the plan right now. And what do I know? Maybe we'll call it GitLab Vista. I'm sure we won't. Not that. But, this is the current plan. And plans have occasionally changed around here. Now, performance, reliability, security. Let's talk about that. We all know we've made this big pivot, but let's flesh it out a little bit more. In the look ahead, it's not going away soon. That's why it's in the look ahead section. I want to talk about the window for it. It breaks my heart a little bit using stock photography in my decks. I could just step outside here in First Avenue. I won't get the blue sky, but I could get like one of these tower photos. Isn't it nice that now we have our own stock photography? Do I have to say stock photography again before I actually hear people laughing at that joke? Okay, Pile. I mean, I'm glad we hired a model in worldwide enterprise sales so we can actually get stock photography that looks so amazing it might even be fake. So yeah, performance and reliability. Right now, it's been characterized as of a month ago as going through the end of Q1 in fiscal 23. And that's already been pulled back into, okay, now through March. And even that's been mitigated where individual teams, like I know the GitLab team, for example, have been under budget in terms of their error budgets. They've already done everything they're going to do, or maybe not everything, but they've done a lot, and they've pivoted largely back toward feature development. Awesome. So as individual teams are ready to do that, they will. Product managers more than ever want to talk to you. They've been really helpful. I know of so many cases, I'm sure you do as well, but don't be shy. Even though we are heavily focused on performance and reliability, yes, as demonstrated earlier, we're still shipping particularly things that are high impact, still shipping features, and individual teams are returning to business as usual. There was a nice back and forth between Francis Potter, I see the gentleman right there, and Scott on this just recently. We have started to hit our numbers for availability of GitLab.com. It's too soon to characterize it as like turning the corner, but early indicators like being under budget for error budgets across whole parts of the org in the month of September led to, yep, we hit those numbers in October, and no, 1 month isn't enough. It isn't over yet. There's also a really useful link here. I want to make sure I click it just to show it to you. This was put together by product leadership. Thanks very much to all of them. And what does this mean for a member of our sales org? What are examples of the business value actually being added by our focus on performance and reliability, right? Of course, there's business value in that. How do we describe that? And are we still doing all that stuff on the ARR drivers sheet? Are we? Yeah, okay, so the answers to your questions are there, but also I wanted to give you that fuller characterization. And these are public data, right? So point number one, be transparent. There's really no other way to be around here. Don't beat around the bush when you're talking to customers and prospects about this. It's actually really important work. It's great that we're doing it. Coming soon in Premium and in Ultimate, yes, you can just look at things that way. There's a roadmap for that. There's like a version of the roadmap that is just per paid tier. I give you a link to that, but also a sort on those things for just the stuff that's coming soon and looks like it's going to be important. To not be too feature-centered, but still give you that stuff because you asked for it. There it is, but I won't talk about it now. The GitLab vision and characterizing what's coming up per each of those value pillars is how to talk about it. This is how to position and message what's coming up in the product. In this case, I don't actually have a transcribed talk track, but what I do have is good Kenny Johnston giving like a 5-minute version where he presents exactly the same content. And all I've done to it is make it look like it fits with the design of our pitch deck so that you can have this version of it. But also deeper in this deck, I've got the old-fashioned version of it, in case you're still using that kind of deck. I'm not aware of any edict that says, you know, thou shalt have all your decks look like the pitch deck. I don't know if there's a template quite out there yet. That's been a work in progress. But I give you both versions of that, just so it's like really easy to use this positioning for what's coming up and this messaging for what's coming up. And you can watch Kenny in 5 minutes. He talks over these slides really nicely. Let's not watch him like right now, but that's actually in there. Hi, Kenny. You'll love to see it. A great event coming up with, yes, Francis Potter. Hello again, Francis, and Cindy Blake. In the context of GitHub Universe, didn't have it in my expectations that it would be so much of a nothing burger, but never mind my extra commentary here. they're going to do an actually intelligent sounding session all about Universe and not really just about that, but why the DevOps platform for enterprises. It's going to be a great event. And we've got a Path Factory link as well as a Bamboo link for sharing there, both versions. And this is a thank you very much. So we can take everything previous to this moment and keep it public, and then we'll have a little bit more conversation that's internal only. There are some things that are internal only.